So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sean, known as Byrne Photography, Jennifer, known as Iskis, and Laurence from Finding the Universe to the stage.
How you doing, mate? All right?
Hi, welcome.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
How was the lunch? Was
Very
it good?
nice. Very, very nice.
Cool.
There was chocolate, so I was happy.
So that's not for you.
No.
Cool. Photography. I think one of the hottest issues because we will be mostly talking about shooting good and good-looking photographs, also about Instagram. I'd like to start with a basic question. It looks like from outside, it's for me as well, I think like I can shoot a good photo of the Bosphorus and get like 200 likes, but I can't. Why is that? And what's the secret of not getting likes, but shooting a really good photograph, especially when we are using smartphones, and when we all have small photograph machines in our pocket?
I think everyone has the ability to shoot a nice image. I think one of the key things you've got to think of first is composition. So make sure you set your camera up so the composition's looking good. Think about your rule of thirds. Think about an interesting subject or object that you've got within your composition. And then that's already, you're on your way to a good picture. Same with exposure. Make sure exposure's correct. Try different techniques with exposures. And then once you've got that to stand out from anyone else, you've then got to start thinking on when you come to edit an image to bring something magical within that image to make it stand out from the normal iPhone shot that you would see from normal people.
Yeah, and I'd add to that, you need to be patient. A lot of people will just go to a location and they'll say, here's the scene and I'll take the shot, but they might not wait for the light to come. They might not wait for the best time of day to take that shot. You might not wait for the crowds to move. So, you know, a great photographer will often just stand in the same place for an hour or two maybe until the time is right to actually take the shot instead of just taking the shot and then leaving. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of waiting around involved with getting a good shot. And I also think editing is so important to find your own style and then, yeah, become recognizable to people.
Yeah.
You mentioned about editing. That's a very interesting topic because the pictures we see, we like, we love, they mostly have a certain amount of editing on it. Do we need this? I mean, is this mandatory or is it possible to create great photograph just like with an iPhone or Samsung camera?
Yeah, you can. Because if you think like the National Geographic photographers, I mean, they're in these like such stunning places in the world. They could be underwater, way up in a mountain, and a normal picture will do really well with it. But then when you're not in one of those places, an edit will, because we all look up with our eyes. So when you're on social media, especially in social media, when you're searching through hashtags, you look at bright colours that are standing out, and that draws your eye into this image, and then you press onto that image, and then once they're there, they'll either like it, comment. So editing has to stand out from everything else to make it stand out within all those images within a hashtag.
I mean, every image that you see ever has been edited. Even if you take a photo on your smartphone, if you're not editing it, the smartphone is editing it. If you're shooting in JPEG, which most people are doing, the smartphone is applying a certain number of algorithms around the vibrance, the saturation, the sharpness of the image. We probably all shoot in RAW, I guess.
Yep.
So that's like the difference between a roll of film and a finished photo. A RAW file needs to be edited in order to be put online in a format that something like Facebook can understand. So there always has to be editing to an image. So if people say they just shoot and they don't edit, that means they're letting the camera do the editing, which, I mean, that's giving the creative control to the camera. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I want to add something?
No, they've basically covered it.
But
there's a difference between editing and photoshopping, I think, which
yes,
needs
that
to be...
was what I was going to ask, because I saw some pictures that I I say to myself that this sky shouldn't belong to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Photograph,
so
right.
you can,
It's
if
not
you're
possible.
adding and taking away from an image, then you're photoshopping, and that's where the sort of the line between, I guess, photojournalism and digital art starts to become a little bit blurry. From my point of view, I like to show a scene as somebody else would be able to see it, so I try not to do too much of that. But sometimes I get somewhere and the sky is not great, but I know that there might have been a great sunset, so maybe in order to get that image, I will do a little bit of cheating, but not to the point where I'm, putting a
full of
full moon
stars.
that's the size of a Death Star or something.
Yeah. 100 air balloons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes saw the Milky Way galaxy in some of the pictures.
Yeah.
honestly.
But then Instagram, I mean, people do edit and Photoshop a lot on Instagram and add things to it, again, to make it stand out. Nothing wrong with it because it gets a lot of exposure to them. So they add things to make it look pretty. It may not have been at that time, but it stands out for any other image. So they're doing what they do to stand out from the normal image, and it works for a lot of people.
Is there any tricks that you can give, suggestions to all of us, especially for, let's say, Instagram, to get more likes, maybe? Is there any tricks for that? I mean, I'm not mentioning about the software. I'm mentioning the picture, the photo shooting.
I
mean,
think
for instance,
developing a consistent
landscape.
style is important,
Yep.
so people recognize your style, and that's what they come to you for.
Your gallery has to stand out. It
Yeah.
has to look nice when you look at it.
Only post good photos.
Yep.
That's really important. I mean, sometimes you see people just kind of keep posting. Post at a good time of day for your audience. So if you post in the middle of the night, no one's going to see your photo.
Definitely quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And find your own style. That's how I started. I found my own style, my own colours, and then I became recognizable. And yeah, that helps you stand out from everybody else.
They look really colorful on your Instagram account. I think it's also related to the place that you live in or travel to, because it basically shapes the colors, the shapes, the landscapes of your whole account and pictures, right?
Especially your account.
Yeah, especially when we
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about
Yeah.
like seaside of Turkey, Kuşadası, Alaçatı, Çeşme, that I'm seeing mostly in your account.
Yeah, I mostly take photos in Turkey, although I have started traveling more now, but my feed is full of Turkey and the colors are they just fit my theme here, especially the beaches and yeah.
Do you find that when you post pictures from outside of Turkey, they get less engagement because your audience are expecting photos from Turkey?
No, I don't actually, but I am a very a beach person, so if I do post a different style, I do notice different interaction with that, yeah.
Is there a right time to post a picture on Instagram?
Well, it depends where you're. Majority of people on Instagram is from America, so ideally you want to be posting good time in America. So probably when they get up in the morning, when they wake up, look at their phones, you want to try to work out what sort of time zone that is and post then. So in the UK, it's about in the afternoon or early hours in the morning, and you capture the American audience, which give you a good engagement.
Yeah, if you have an Instagram account, if you switch it over to a business account, it will actually tell you what time your audience is online. So you can just look at the times that your audience are online by day and then just post at the time that they're online.
And what about the amounts? You mentioned about the quality versus quantity, right? But I mean, post per day, maybe, if you talk about on Instagram, do you have any suggestions on that?
Well, for me, I find one post a day is enough.
Yeah.
One per day?
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
you have to do a minimum one per day. If I leave it a couple of days and I haven't posted, my engagement does drop. So if I'm on a campaign, I try to do two a day, but at least minimum one a day.
What's the max?
I would never do more. I don't think more than 3 a day.
Yeah,
That would be
three
like
would be at a max.
crazy.
3?
Because you don't want someone going through the feed and going, oh, look, there's Sean. Oh, and there's Sean again. Oh, and there's Sean again. This guy's boring me now.
Yeah, I
'Cause
stopped following you.
They're easy sort of, they get bored very easily. So you've just got to keep it, like I said, quantity. The quality is over the quantity. So make sure the images are always good. And now with like Instagram video and Instagram stories, you could put now the quantity within that instead of all quality. So the quality goes onto my feed, and all that quantity stuff is in showing behind the scenes, showing how I'm setting up with an image and where I am. I could do that all within the stories and on the Instagram Live.
When it comes to working with brands in terms of photography, what do you suggest to brands to benefit from, especially Instagram, when they want to promote one of their service or product?
I think giving creative control to the influencer is really important. So don't sort of just say, this is what we want you to take photos of. If you're hiring me, it's because you understand that I have a capability to do something. So it's important to bring me along to do that. So if you just say, this is what we want you to take a photo of, then you might as well have just hired a photographer, someone to do that photo. So I think giving creative control to the influencer.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some campaigns where they've given me like strict instructions of what to take, but that then, my creativity then dies because let me do what I do. And like Laurence said, they know what you do, so that's why they're using you. So just give us a basic rough idea of what it is that you're trying to achieve, and let us be creative to achieve that for you within Instagram.
Does it happen? Are you told what exactly you should shoot or write?
I have done, yeah.
Right? A lot?
Yeah, very strict on what.
Sometimes,
Whoa.
yeah.
I think also supporting the influencer. So if someone's, and this is across all the platforms, and I think this was mentioned before, but if you're working with someone, take advantage of that. Maybe give them control over your Instagram account, or give them that sort of freedom to work with you, but also retweet their content, share it on your Instagram page or your Facebook page. So don't just hire someone and then send them off into the world on their own. Give them all the support. I mean, you're hiring someone for a reason, so work with them.
Exactly.
Well, there is another important topic that we talked in the morning. For brands, it's not easy to price it, to let's say define a budget, because there's no standards for it. It's not like apples or oranges. But when it comes to photograph, it looks a little bit easier, but I think it's a trap. What do you think about this? I mean, I'm sure that there might be some brands who came to you and asked for X amount of photos for Y amount of budget. I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, is it true? I mean, is it the right way, or what should be the pricing method?
And Deb actually mentioned this earlier in her talk, Deb of the Planet D, and they said, if you just come to me with a budget, then I can tell you what I can do for that. If you know what you want, then we can put together a price, based on what your budget is, and we can try and work something out that's mutually beneficial. And I think that's often the best way, is to say, this is what I have, and what can we create together with that. And don't just think of the money. What else can you offer that influencer that, maybe, I don't like to use the word exposure, but maybe there are things that you can offer them that they might not be able to get anywhere else. So,
Yeah, and with the pictures have been around for years, so there's normally a set, like they used to always go to a professional photographer to use or there's a catalogue of images online that you go and buy those images. So there's set prices already for that. And because social media is relatively new, especially with Instagram, to try and put a figure on how much you charge a campaign or a company was always tricky for anybody. When you're first starting out, you're just, when they say we want to fly you here, you're like, whoo, yeah, okay, this is brilliant. I drive a truck and now I'm flying somewhere in the world taking pictures. And then you start realising there is a monetised value to it, and you help each other out. And it's when the agencies come on board, they offer you prices. As long as you're happy with the money that you're getting and the experience that you're having, then great. I mean, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to experience as much as I can and visit some of the amazing places that have been shown up there. And
you like to pay your bills.
yeah, but bills help. I can't do everything for free, so I've got 2 kids and a wife. Okay. That's a lot of money. I hope she ain't watching.
Did you shoot in Istanbul when you came?
Yes.
Here. Where is your favorite places to shoot in Istanbul?
I ain't saying this, but Istanbul's beautiful. I love the Blue Mosque. I've always been fascinated with the Blue Mosque. But out of all the places I've travelled to, Cappadocia for me was by far the best I've been to. That place is sensational. And to be up in the air balloons with all those other air balloons, I thought it was like a once-a-year thing. I didn't realise it happened every day. And the weather, and I'm like, seriously? This happens every day? I thought you guys are mad. But wow, that's an experience I'll never forget.
So for you?
Yeah, well, I was on the same trip with Sean to Cappadocia.
Cappadocia.
That was amazing. I mean, we actually just went on Saturday to the Prince's Islands, which I also thought were very beautiful, just away from here by boat. That was really nice. But yeah, I think there's so much in Istanbul. There's so much to photograph. The Grand Bazaar, the mosques, all the architecture. The cats are very cute that you have.
Cats?
Yeah.
Huge
Yeah,
city.
it's a very big
I can't
city.
do a lot of stuff in London, and I thought London was fairly big, but when you fly over
It's
Istanbul
bigger,
and see how big it is, it's just like, wow, so much to see.
For you,
Cappadocia is my favourite place to
Cappadocia?
take pictures in Turkey, and also Cheshme and Alacate. That like perfectly fits my colours and style.
Yeah, when personally, I'm also a fan of beach and sea, and I see that on Instagram, I automatically tap and like it, to be honest. But in general, apart from Istanbul, it might be a tough question for you, but do you remember or can you name the best picture or the picture that you most like you ever shoot and publish?
I think, as it said earlier on, because every image has a story behind it, and they're all special in their own little way. So it could be that my family would be at the time, so it made it special, or it could be feeding wolves in Canada with these amazing animals that makes it special, and being up in an air balloon or underwater with turtles. Everything has a story, so everything has its own value of being the best shot because it has the experience behind it. I'm struggling to pick out one, it's so difficult.
Yeah, I have to agree with Sean. I have some great memories from trips in national parks in the US, traveling in New Zealand, Australia. I just come back from Iceland. That was very photogenic. Yeah. I think everywhere, like, I always try to see the best in a place. So the last trip I was on, I always think was the best one I did until the next one I'm on.
Yeah.
For you?
I really like shooting different places in different seasons. So, for example, I love shooting Holland in the autumn because of the colours, Paris in the spring because of all the cherry blossoms. But yeah, Turkey is still my favourite place to shoot.
Is there any destinations that you always wanted to shoot in?
I always want to what?
Is there somewhere you always wanted to photograph?
Oh yeah, Norway.
Norway?
Yeah, I've got a thing for mountains, so I love mountains or sea, but the mountains for me, and Norway's next on my list of places to go, without a doubt.
And for you guys?
I just came back from Iceland, which was somewhere on the top of my list for a long time, and it was fantastic. So I guess next, probably Norway, northern Norway especially.
Yeah, northern
I really
Norway,
want to
yeah.
see the northern lights. I keep not seeing them, so they're on my list of things to see. So I'm hoping I get to see them at some point.
Do you have any destinations?
Japan, I'd love to go to Japan, yeah. And see the sakura.
This is why Instagram's so easy, because as long as you can take a decent picture, it's straight onto Instagram, a couple of words where it is, so you don't have to write a big blog. I mean, I'm not great for words, so I'm doing it all visually. And it's a real lazy social media, but it's so easy. And like I said, everything's impacted through visuals. And to get a nice image on Instagram, to show it to thousands of people, it definitely influences people to go to the places that we travel.
But also, there's every day a new feature is coming in, and when you trying to shoot a good photograph or create a good content, not just photograph, but in general, there's also another thing that you have to catch, which is the features, because there's always new features every day. When I open Instagram, for instance, I always see a badge saying new or there. How do you keep up with it? I mean, how do you because at the same time you have to keep up with it, you have to chase it in order to get along with the algorithms, maybe also software updates.
Well, I'm not just an Instagrammer, I'm also a blogger. I run 2 blogs with my wife, Jessica. So I have Facebook, Instagram, my blog, so I have to keep up to date with all of those things. I think you just have to do it. It's just part of the job. It's not like I have another job to do. So keeping up to date with everything is just something I do. And you just test. You talk to other bloggers, you find out what's working for them, what isn't working for them. You know, something will shift in Facebook. Different people will try different things. Someone will say, oh, if you do it like this, this might work better at the moment, but then next month you try something else. You just got to always be testing, and you've got to keep up to date. And there's different websites that report on, the different features that Facebook has rolled out, or Twitter. The official blogs for Instagram, for Twitter, for Facebook, they're always telling you, the new features they've launched. And what I found with, especially Facebook, every time they launch a new thing, like 360 video, for example, the reach of that is always going to be much higher. So when Facebook launched live video, if you did a live video, you got much higher reach than if you were doing anything else. That's kind of died down now, but Facebook has just launched live 360 video. So if you do a live 360 video, you'll get much higher reach because Facebook are trying to push that. So if there's new stuff, I would advise getting onto it earlier because you're going to get a higher reach just by being an early adopter.
Cool. Did you shoot the desserts in the lunch? Desserts?
Desserts?
Did you taste the
desserts?
Desserts, yeah.
Chocolate?
Yeah, but no, the Turkish ones. No, I'm not mentioning about chocolate. Baklava, for instance. Did you see them?
No.
Didn't taste it?
No.
Wow. You should.
Am I wrong?
You should.
Should I? Give me one.
No, I ask this because when the content is also very tasty, and also when the picture and the photo is also looking good, it looks very great. I just wondered if you ever, if that took your attention or not. But for the new, for the beginners, especially on Instagram, for who wants to create photo content, and also then maybe expand the content, diversify the content in other mediums. What would you suggest to them in terms of differentiating? Because right now, as we talk, I have a smartphone and I can shoot like tens of pictures every day, and there are like thousands of new users every day on Instagram, and also millions of pictures on Instagram. But the key is, I think, differentiation. What would you suggest for differentiation to, let's say, separate the content from the others?
I think finding your own style, it's like being a writer. You find your voice and you stick to that voice, and that's what people come to you for. And so I think with photography, it's the same sort of thing. You need to find your own style, and even if that evolves over time, just having something that people are used to, I think that's really important. And don't copy what everybody else is doing. You know, there's
Be inspired, but don't copy.
Yeah, I think especially the guys doing the keynotes, the Follow Me Too guys, you can see they've been copied quite a lot. But I mean, that's not original anymore. So you need to come up with your own thing that's original and do your own thing. Don't just don't look on Instagram, see all the pictures, and then think, I'm going to just go and take all those pictures, because it's not interesting. It's not new.
Cool. So, thank you guys for coming here, for being in Istanbul. It was a good session about photography and Instagram. So we hope to see you again in Istanbul.
Yep.
I hope you like the city, you like the...
Love the city.
You love it.
Yes.
Okay, it's good. Good. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Never.